Everybody have their mics on, please? All right, call to order the Torch Lake Township regular board meeting of August 17th, 2021 at 7:01 p.m. Will you join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, as you know, I start the meeting reviewing some of our housekeeping items. Board, when speaking, please lean forward to ensure you are heard clearly for the YouTube streaming. And I request that citizens who speak, please stand close to the microphone. There will be two opportunities for citizen comments. I will be requesting individuals stay within the 4 minutes in both citizen comment sections and would appreciate everyone keeping their points concise. I would request that comments are made respectfully to the board. We are here to discuss the township's business. Citizen comments should pertain to specific issues, concerns, or policies they would like to bring to the board's attention. To respect everyone's time, I strongly urge the board not to respond to public comments, but address them in the board comments section. Sometimes this is difficult, but this is not a debating stage between the citizens and board members. We have township business to conduct, and it is required that we do that effectively. If there needs to be a follow-up from the board, I will direct the appropriate person to reach out to that individual. The documents on the website are aligned to the items on the agenda. These are draft documents to provide background information only. Motions were drafted to help the board more quickly get to the final wording and vote on the respective motions. The final motion, therefore, may look different to reflect the actual action taken by the board. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of July 20th, 21. Does anyone have any changes or comments, please? Sharon?
I have one minor one. First page under B, consent agenda. The very last line. S. Schultz comments, Central Dispatch 911 on hiring. Actually, that shouldn't be Central Dispatch. It should be the comments of the Sheriff's Department on hiring. It wasn't the 911 department hiring. So remove Central Dispatch 911 and replace it with Sheriff's Department.
All right. Any other comments? I have one change. It would be up in the approval of the minutes. It would be the third line in checking the MTA book. Items over the maximum fund of $5,000 can be approved, and the item should be added if not budgeted. It should be taken out. $5,000 items can be approved. Has nothing to do with being budgeted. If
Okay,
there's
whoa.
Good line right here. If not budgeted, it should be taken out.
If not budgeted is not in mine, that's why
All right.
I'm hesitating.
I had it in mind, so
Okay.
I may have had it earlier, but I want to
So
make sure
just
it's out.
items over the maximum fund of $5,000 can be approved, period.
Yes, period.
Okay.
There's no other changes. I will make the motion that the minutes of the regular board meeting of July 20th, 2021 be approved as presented with changes. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. It is moved and seconded to approve the regular board meeting of June 15th, 2021 as presented with changes. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll move on to our next item. Correspondence and announcements. Kathy, do we have anything?
Yes, we do. I received addressed to me 3 correspondence regarding tonight's issue about M88 and Do I need to read them? I can read them if we like. The other one that I received was from a township resident asking the township to install steps down to Torch Lake from the end of Barnes Road. Because of the terrain, this person is saying it's impossible to go down and back up. So they're asking us to look into that.
All right. Well,
The three emails that I received were from residents in the M88 zone, and all three are asking that we consider carefully what we're doing tonight. And I would say all three of these folks are against approving the zoning amendment.
all right, very good. Moving to the next agenda then, is the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? I have none either. I make the motion that the agenda is accepted as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It is moved and seconded that the agenda is accepted as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will move on. We will now move to citizen comment. If you have filled out a form in the back, that's great. Otherwise, bring it up and we will call you up.
All right, so first we have one from Barbara Boudros.
Maybe the way it works.
No, Bill was the last one.
You might want to pull that microphone down.
I have actually three things I would like to comment on tonight. One is the rezoning of M88 parcel. As you know, that went through the planning commission, and the planning commission agreed that it should be rezoned. However, there was a faulty process there. We were given eight factors to consider in determining whether or not that property should be rezoned. And it was inconsistent with the zoning ordinance, which does not include that list of factors. And we were not given any guidance on how to prioritize them, or whether to prioritize them, or how to count them. So we went through them one at a time, discussed them at length. All the votes were 6-0 or 5-1 in favor of rezoning, except when we got down to whether the rezoning was necessary. And on that point, we went round and round a bit about what that meant and did it matter, and so on and so forth, because we had already voted 5 times to approve the rezoning against 5 of the factors, but the one about the need for the rezoning kind of got lost in the jumble, and we ultimately voted that it was necessary, but it's actually not necessary, and we should never have approved it. So as a member of the Planning Commission, I'm asking you to please reject that request for rezoning on the M88 parcel, because I think that process was completely flawed. Also, I understand the board has hired Beckett and Rader to rewrite the township zoning ordinance, and so far has adopted and amended and revised provisions of the zoning ordinance, including the land division portion. These changes were made without public hearing and without input from the Planning Commission. The powers, duties, and procedures of a Planning Commission are delineated in the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, 2008 Public Act 33, MCL 125.3801 to 125.3885, and include drafting the township's master plan and future land use map, proposing and writing the township zoning ordinance and amendments thereto, conducting necessary public hearings on planning and zoning matters. The board's current process of rewriting or amending the township zoning ordinance violates the Planning Enabling Act and should be revisited before any other changes are considered. And third one, last but not least, this one's personal. I was at the June 15 meeting and pointed out that the supervisor had basically accused me of engaging in illegal conduct for accepting an illegal payment because I spent time drafting the fireworks ordinance for the township. And even though the supervisor had approved paying me for that, which he denied, but which the emails between he and Bill Stridiron, the president or the chairman of the planning commission, clearly showed that he was aware of it and had, in fact, approved that I be paid. But when it turned out that that was not appropriate to have paid me, I was summoned here because I had accepted an illegal payment. The payment wasn't what was important here. What was important when I came last meeting was to point out the fact that I did not appreciate being accused of doing something illegal. I thought it was defamatory, and I thought it should be corrected. The board, after consideration, did agree to retroactively approve the payment, which was great. But the supervisor agreed to publish a public apology. The apology I got was on the website, and it simply said, "I apologize for any misunderstanding." There was no misunderstanding. The supervisor screwed up by not getting the board to approve that payment before it was made. And to cover his butt, he first blamed Bill Stridiron for taking it upon himself to pay me, which wasn't true. And then he blamed me. And the blame rests with the supervisor. So I just wanted you to know that I did not accept that apology. I thought it was pathetic. And I would like to have this appear in the minutes. With the minutes, whatever. Thank you.
Next comment, please.
Okay, the note that accompanies this is signed by Brian Agar and Lynn Agar. Dear board members, we authorize Bill Stridiron to represent us at the August 17th board meeting and to present our views regarding the rezoning request of Lakeshore Living. We can be reached at phone number if you require clarification. And in fact, the Agars are one of the letters that I did receive. So they're asking Mr. Stridiron to speak in their place. It's signed, yes.
Never had anything like that before.
Do
you know if that can be done?
I guess I don't know.
What do the representation?
Is that acceptable?
I wouldn't know if it is or isn't, but we can make an exception as a board.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Stridiron.
Good evening.
Hello.
Mr. and Mrs. Agar have asked me to speak on their behalf. What they're really saying is they agree with what I'm about to say, but they're also relinquishing their time. I don't plan on going over the 4 minutes, but if I do, I'm going to give them their time as well. The board, in considering a request for rezoning of a parcel, must consider the following. Per the Michigan State Zoning Act, this is very important, so please stay with me. You can deny the request for rezoning. You can approve the request for rezoning. You also have the option, if you're not clear on either one of those, to send it back to the Planning Commission for additional review and findings of fact, which has not been submitted to you. After additional review, the PC is required to send back to the board with their recommendations on what to do next with this particular topic. So you have 3 options. Hearing a zoning change request is a very serious matter in a township. The Michigan law clearly states how it's to proceed. On tonight's agenda, under new business item number 1, Quote, motion to approve M88 rezoning request. End quote. The board's job is to consider the request, not to approve it. I take issue with the way the motion on the agenda has been placed. It's not a motion, it's something for you to consider. If you'd like to make a motion after your consideration, that's your job. Mr. Vermeer's statement at the Planning Commission, Mr. Vermeer is the person requesting the zoning change. At the Planning Commission meeting dated March 25th, 2021, stated, quote, once the parcel is rezoned village business, I would like to combine it with parcel number 05-14-106-114-10. Directly to the west, it is currently owned by Lake Living Properties LLC, an already zoned village business on that one parcel. End of quote. This would give Lake Living Services, and I may be a little wrong on this number, but bear with me, 338 foot of frontage on M88. Next, Mr. Vermeer's statement on the next meeting, June 8th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting, reversed his intentions to combine the parcels. Quote, knowing what we know today, we will not pursue the combining of the two lots. Combining the lots is not our goal. Unquote. Next, based on Mr. Vermeer's change of goals for this parcel, this board has no justification to grant this change of zoning. Mr. Vermeer can operate his business at the current location under the R1 zoning. At worst, he could operate his business with a special use permit. Please remember that a change of zoning stays with the parcel forever. It could be sold many times, but it will stay with the parcel forever. Side note, there are 36 properties along M88 that are zoned village business currently. Of those 36 properties, 2 have operating businesses. One is the care home, and the other is a church, if you can consider a church a business. So there's a great deal of property already zoned village business along M88. Do we really need another one, when in fact the applicant doesn't need to be rezoned to operate his business? Thank you.
Next comment.
That's all I have.
That's it.
Kathy and Sarah. I'll put these two in the meeting if I may, just so you have them. That's the second meeting. This is the first meeting that highlighted the course.
We have all those in our packet, Bill.
You have it again, thank you.
No further citizen comment? All right. We will move to the next agenda item, the consent agenda. Is Bill here? Yeah, okay. Board, I would like to poll. Let me get my notes real quick. Deputy Supervisor report and the zoning administrator's report. Are there any others? Nope. All right. Then we will consider all the other reports accepted by consent.
I have a question under the zoning administrator as well.
Oh, all right, that's fine. Sarah, if you could take us through, you did a nice worksheet on the results so far, and I think it's important that the community understand the amount of work that you're fulfilling in this role.
So I believe this is, Jackie handed this to you just before the meeting.
Yep.
So this is just kind of an overview of what Jackie and I have been working on since, we've been around in April. That lays out how many zoning permits and applications we've reviewed, ZBA cases, special use rezoning, and land divisions, as well as violations and complaints that we've taken in the office. And it's similar, but kind of condensed down to your typical zoning report that you get from us that just lists all the permits. But this is a nice comparison to be able to see what's been done year to date, what happened last year, and then also what's been done, just since we've been around to handle the zoning office.
Great, thank you. I just wanted the community to draw their attention to it. It's a great job.
And it is available on the back table if anybody would like to get their hands on it.
All right, thank you.
Can
Bill
I-
Peterson has been very,
Can I
very
ask a
busy.
question on the
Yes,
zoning?
sure.
On the zoning violations and complaints, what have we had this summer with regard to problems with short-term rentals? Any?
We have not had any complaints or found any violations.
Okay,
If you know of somebody or think that there is one, definitely let us know so
Yep.
we can look it up the address.
I just bring it up just that that's a really important item
Okay.
to our citizens. Okay, thank you.
All right, Bill?
All of our current paved road contracts with the Antrim County Road Commission have been completed. That would be Erickson, that we cost shared with Milton and the county, and also the 2 subdivision roads off of Barnes have been completed. They're in the process, well, before the storm hit, they were in the process of giving us a couple additional quotes on some gravel work for this fall, but who knows if they can even get to it now based on what happened around the county with last week's storm. The road end at the end of Kruger Road has been improved. Didn't go crazy, just cut a little path through the woods in the event of an emergency. First responders could access the water there, and that is a emergency exit for the Paddle Antrim Water Trail. So again, now if somebody did have an emergency, they can get on shore and to the paved road at that access. You have tonight, which we'll get into later, heating upgrades both for this building and down the road. I'm working on getting quotes for the Nature Conservancy additional parking
Okay.
down there. And the road millage stuff is ongoing, and hopefully here in the fall, I'll be able to make a much better presentation on that as we look toward getting the millage in front of the voters next year.
Great.
And still work on the cemetery.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, Board, I make the motion to accept the Deputy Supervisor and Zoning Administrator reports. Is there a second?
I can second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we will move to the next item. Special reports. Kathy, any FOIAs?
Yes, one, let's see, completed one, and I have 2 that are still open. The one that I still have time to complete is the one from True North Law, which is asking for election information going back to 2016. It's been a timely FOIA request.
Kathy,
and
who is that from?
The name of the group is True North Law, and they're representing a private group, and I can get you the name if you need it.
Okay.
But that's the attorney company that's representing it.
Okay.
And doing the requesting.
It's out of St. Louis.
Yeah, they're not local. So that's it on FOIAs for now.
All right. Jason,
You
you're
said a
lucky.
second? Just
A second one that's still open, that is completed, but has not been picked up by the requester. It's completed and ready to go.
So one outstanding one then.
Yeah, how about that?
Okay. All set?
So I thought you said two outstanding, that's why I was.
Well, I was reporting on 3. One is completed but not picked up, and one is not completed, but I still have to the end of the month to get that ready.
All set now?
Yep.
All right, good. Jason, your planning commission meeting was canceled, so you're off the hook for a report. Quickly on the financials, as always, the financial report, the details are online. If you have any questions, you can call me directly or you can reach out to the clerk's office. We are still well positioned financially. The treasurer's report indicates a balance in the general fund of $1 million, but I expect that to decrease by roughly $600,000 to $700,000 between now and November 30th. As you know, our taxes are only collected in December. And so we'll start receiving those funds in December, and we'll start to replenish that fund. Timing of some 2020 expenses is still allowing us to be favorable versus last year. But with so many new items in our operating budget, I anticipate that we will be over the prior year by the start of 2022. That isn't as critical as looking at the budget. As a reminder, this is the first year the township has tried to prepare a monthly budget. Currently, we are favorable to that budget, but I expect to see some unfavorability in the future as we're trying to get our construction work completed and the additional expenses associated with the zoning ordinance rewrite and the steering committee associated with that rewrite come forward. My crystal ball is getting repaired, but overall, I think we should come in slightly higher versus the budget for expenses, and revenues will also be slightly better. We'll know more around December, and I'll give us an update on a projected cash flow at that time. That completes my report.
Could I ask, Kathy, we used to get in our mailboxes the monthly summary. Are you still doing that? Or do we have to request it?
No, actually, with the financial report, it's out on the website now.
I would like to have that report if we could. You could show me how I could get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, next item on our agenda is for board action. We have no old business, and we have 6 items to consider under new business. The board has had roughly 3.5 days to consider each item in detail, and hopefully that will help us move through the agenda more efficiently. First item on the agenda, I will make the motion to adopt ordinance number 2021-8. That is slightly rewording the first sentence of the motion that was handed out. Related to the rezoning of parcel 05-14-106-014-20 at 5884 North M88 Highway from Village Residential to Village Business, and have the clerk publish notice of adoption in the paper within 15 days. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. The motion has been moved and seconded. The motion to adopt ordinance number 2021-8 related to the rezoning of parcel 05-14-106-014-20 at 5884 North M88 Highway from Village Residential to Village Business, and have the clerk publish notice of adoption in the paper within 15 days. Sarah, as we normally do with these actions, would you come up and start the discussion?
I included a memo in your packet that kind of explains all the additional information in your packet. But this was a public hearing at the Planning Commission in May, and they made a decision at a June special meeting for this. It was sent up to the county, and the county had a little over 30 days of they get 30 days as required, and they actually reviewed it, and their minutes are in your packet, along with the Township Planning Commission minutes that has all the motions that they made. There's the two sets, just because the May has the public hearing and you're forwarded kind of a synopsis of public hearing comments to the board. And then we have the June meeting minutes, which has the actual motion. And there's multiple other motions related to the criteria that the Planning Commission looked at. So as previously mentioned, and that was in my memo, the board can either approve, deny, or you can return it to the Planning Commission for additional consideration, whatever the board would like.
All right. Any questions for Sarah?
How did you establish those criteria?
Those are general kind of best practices. There's something that I've worked with an attorney in the past through my position, not specifically here, but just in the last 15 years working on rezonings. I've had other townships that don't have criteria in their zoning ordinance, similar to Torch Lake. And they said, well, here's some criteria to take a look at and to consider in reviewing the application. That helps to give the board and the Planning Commission, the township in general, some basis for making their decision. It has a much better chance of holding up in court should it get appealed and go to court in some way, because it shows that the township went through a process to review the rezoning instead of just saying, yes, we approve it with no justification, or no, we deny it with no justification. So that's what this criteria is intended to do, to help kind of provide that backbone and facts to your decision.
What precedent, though, have we set with regard to any further zoning changes with that criteria?
I would encourage the Planning Commission to use the same or similar criteria in all their decisions for rezonings.
The first time I heard of criteria for rezoning was in the workshop that Steve Longworthy gave us with regard to, and he listed the kinds of considerations. He also said that you come under, he had three things that he recommended, and then under each of those three, you list the yay or nays. Is it compatible with the neighborhood? And you list the yay or nays, it is or is not kind of thing. I had never heard that before. Again, I had mentioned before that I tried to last time that zoning changes that I had experienced here, we didn't have criteria because there were so many hearings and reconsiderations that when we got to it, everyone was in favor. Everybody was ready for it. And this included the zoning changes in the village districts as well as one at Agaming. And I think there was one other one. I don't have it in front of me here. But my point is that I really think that those criteria, we probably should have stopped that process until we had established those criteria as part of the zoning ordinance. As like in the ZBA, they've got criteria that they follow, mainly because a zoning change is very, very serious. It's, as it was mentioned here, it's forever. Other zoning changes generally are not forever, but on a particular property, they are, and that's what you're up against. And so that's why I asked. So these criteria were just from you. No one else gave you that as well.
No, it was something in meeting with Jerry, who was chairing the meeting. He asked that something kind of be put together. I provided this criteria. Steve reviewed the criteria. Steve Langworthy, just, not that
Okay.
really makes a difference, but, I worked with him on that too.
The one thing too, and you've sent up to us the information with regard to the recommendation of the Planning Commission, the notes from the county. The one thing that I found, two things that bother me is that the minutes that we have, which have the criteria in them, as well as the statements from the hearing, are not approved yet. They've not been approved by the Planning Commission. And
They have been. Those are the minutes I have available that are on the township website that say draft on them.
so the minutes of the special meeting and those were approved? Oh, I
Those have
thought-
been approved.
Then I've
yes.
got my timeline mixed up.
Here. Or these are drafts.
Hang on a minute. I want to make sure that I'm speaking.
Both of
the-
those meeting minutes have been approved by the planning commission, by the township planning commission.
Hang on a minute.
The June,
We haven't had a meeting.
okay, so the May ones were from the public hearing.
Yes.
Right. We had a July meeting that would have approved the June special meeting minutes. We had a July meeting, so they've both been approved.
Okay, all right, then, that's fine.
The July meeting was a regular meeting that we had. So we didn't have an August meeting, but we had a July meeting that the minutes were approved at.
But the special meeting was not approved.
Those were approved at the July meeting.
Just a second. I just want to clear up something in my own head here. Thank you. Stay with me, everybody, if you would, for a minute. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. I got you. With the other one mentioning too is the maps of the villages. You indicate what you sent up was, you circled the area that we're looking at, and there's also an overhead of that as well, but I have no way of, I sort of remember what properties are zoned what in the village, but I don't have that information in that. When Bill says there's 36 village business designations along M88, I don't know where that is. I mean, I know it's in that area, but it's not in the maps that you sent us. And I think that's an important piece of information that we should have. The other thing that I want to bring up is that you quoted in the master plan, what the parts that you quoted in the master plan in your presentation, this property's future land use designation is commercial residential along with all of the neighboring properties. Unfortunately, the master plan does not explain what the characteristics are of the commercial residential area. Item 13C on page 71 states support the continued appropriate scale mixed residential commercial development of Torch Lake and Eastport on a small town compact community scale. States direct future residential and commercial development to existing community centers. States encourage new and mixed use residential and commercial construction and development of the existing compact community centers in Torch Lake Village and Eastport. Now that's consistent with what I saw in the minutes from the establishment of that rezoning that I went through. And I think that, I don't have my little card here, but it was like 2012 or 13. I went through all those minutes because I wanted to know why we had not established criteria for that rezoning. And those minutes told me why, because we had lots of meetings on that with the public with regard to that. But then when I take a look at the master plan with regard to, is there anything else that we missed in that regard? And there are some other areas in here that I think that the planning commission did not know or did not have access to. The one being, second here. I found the ones that you stated in here. I mean, that was not a problem. And again, there was one note in here with regard to balance. This is on page 59, number 4A in the master plan, balanced residential and commercial development. Again, that was considered in the minutes when they established those particular areas. One of the comments that came out was, well, it was a mistake that we didn't zone that property commercial and kept it residential where that building was for the business there. When I came here in 77, there was a little business there, like a resale shop or an antique shop, and it was there for not many years after that, and then it just went away. And so I take issue with the fact that it was a continued kind of business of some kind in there. I was along that road a lot. one of the things that's in the master plan, it says direct future commercial development to village business and commercially zoned areas within Torch Lake and Eastport, meaning the villages, and away from the lake shores within the township. Again, that was part of those minutes. That was something that was considered when the planning commission looked at what are we going to rezone to business, was the presence of the lakes across the street there. Discourage low density and strip development along US 31 highway and M88 highway and county roads to minimize potential public costs. The one thing that I remember, but it's not in the minutes and it's not in our master plan, was that there would be the establishment of side streets or side roads that would move that commercial development north. But I can't verify that. I just give you that from my memory. And last, and those are things in the master plan that I think should be discussed. I'm not saying they're yay or nay, but I'm saying they should be discussed and have an opportunity to be discussed. And again, the use of M88 and what the commercial use along there would do with regard to traffic flow, bicycles, pedestrian use, and things like that are a very critical consideration. Again, direct future appropriate commercial uses, establish mixed residential and commercially zoned areas within the township. Compact rural town centers of Torch Lake and Eastport. Again, looking at what would be the appropriate kinds of businesses that are there. To the best of my knowledge, again, I don't have the maps, that there were no frontages that are much over 100 feet along that road in terms of those that were zoned village business. Many of them have homes on them right now, if not all of them. I'm not sure. I have to look at the map. But my point is that there are other things in the master plan that I think would have fair consideration. This is fair consideration not only because of our master plan, but to be fair to the applicant as well, that we're giving those kinds of considerations, that they understand that these are concerns that we have that we put in writing, and these have been in writing for a while. That's what I looked at in terms of the process that we're looking at. And again, I would strongly say that I really do think that when we establish, we've got another rezoning that's sitting in front of us there, that I think that it's really important for this township that we establish what that criteria ought to be. Either we establish it and put it in the zoning ordinance, or in some way codify it in a way that it's real and out there, and that's what we agree to. This kind of rezoning is very, very serious. And we've had good participation in our master plans. And with a number of meetings, a lot of people show up, had a lot of ideas. And so to me, we should honor that. We should honor that interest in that rezoning. And I think the Planning Commission should have an opportunity to look at that again, see if they've covered it. The one thing that I think in my own mind is what Steve Longworthy had said to us, that under each of those criteria, you list the yay or nays. Okay, it will not affect property values. I think there ought to be some, where does that information come from, and what are the yays or nays under that with regard to that effect? So that you understand it isn't just that. Now, apparently there was some discussion under each of those items, but I don't see those listed in the minutes with regard to what were the yay or nays under each of those items. So I don't even know what I'm clearly would be voting on in this regard. But again, we have two obligations here. One, to best represent the interests of the people of this township, and two, to make sure that we have a fair process for an applicant who applies for a rezoning or any kind of zoning change.
Thank you, Alan. Any other questions from the board for Sarah?
No.
All right.
I do.
All
I got
right.
it. I'm trying to think how to phrase it. A lot of comment has been made about this if this rezoning is approved, it stays with the property forever. Is there any rule that would say a future owner may choose to ask to have it rezoned back to something else? Would that be a possibility in the future?
Yes, yes. A future owner, the current owner could ask for it to be rezoned something else or to go back to village residential.
Okay,
That's always an option.
but I'm hearing concern that if he were to sell the property and someone else were to take it over, they'd have all this footage and it would be all village business. What's to say somebody couldn't buy it and say, I want it to all be residential?
They could,
Is that a possibility?
they could.
All right, that's one of my questions. For now, that's fine.
All right, thanks, Sarah. All right, we've had a motion moved and seconded. Is there a discussion on the motion?
Yes.
All right, Kathy, go ahead.
Well, for sure, it's a controversial issue. But I'm wondering, why are we discussing it if what Bill said earlier is that the applicant has changed his mind? Has the applicant withdrawn his request for the rezoning?
No.
Sarah says no.
Okay,
It's in the
so-
minutes here.
So what is Bill referring to that the applicant said so, Bill?
Excuse me, if you look, Sharon, I'm going to correct you, by the way, respectfully. You don't have the second letter in your packet. Kathy, you do have the second letter that Mr. Revere in front of you gave you.
Okay,
Saying that he's changed his mind, that he doesn't want to combine the two properties in the future. That's what the second letter said, that's a
Okay.
direct quote, I highlighted.
But clarification there, Bill. Hang on. As clarification, that's not the question before the board. The board's only question is on the rezoning of the property, not whether or not,
She asked you a question.
well, but I think at this point, it's not part of the question that is before the board, which is a rezoning request.
Yeah, but the question regards, Bob, is with regard to if he's changed his mind, why are we going to rezoning?
Well, he's not changing his mind on the rezoning. He's changing his mind on one of the conditions that he discussed at the meeting, which was he might come back to combine it. That's not the question before us. The question before us is he still wants to rezone it to commercial.
Well, I go back
So-
to what he wants to do on that property can be done on that property without rezoning it.
I'm not going to relitigate this thing. We've got a passage from the planning commission to approve or disapprove the rezoning.
I would
So-
question that you have passage from the planning commission. I think there's a lot of concern there,
That's your opinion. We're
Yes, it
happy.
is.
but I'm not alone in
All right.
that.
Kathy, you have any more?
Yeah, anything else, Kath?
not sure I got an answer to the question, but you're the applicants, correct? So I see you shaking your head that no, you didn't change your mind. You're still asking for a rezoning.
Exactly what Bob said. I'm not changing my mind on the request to rezone. I just said that if it were to be rezoned, we will not pursue combining two lots in one. We have nothing to gain by it.
That's correct.
All right, very good, sir. Thank
We
you.
just want to be able to use that building
That,
for business.
that's good, thank you. Sharon, do you
Yes.
comments?
Yes, I've been here a long time, just as Bill and a lot of the community people here also. I was once a former business owner myself. I take issue with the comment of 2 is enough along M88, being that the AFC and the church. Well, when I was here, when I pulled out the uses out of the zoning ordinance book, we once had a bank, no longer. We had a real estate office on that corner, no longer. We had medical doctors here that really could be used here. Dr. Zook was the first one, Dr. Kinker was the second one. No longer here. We had a title service that came in and used the building part-time. I feel like we're going backwards. Hardware store is now the AFC, but that was a hardware store. We had a delicacy sandwich shop here also. Kathy King was talented with her cooking. There were other things, and I remember for sure when Esther Dewey had her business that was close to her home that occupied and used that building. The other thing I could say is I don't know how that one parcel with a building already being on it, used for commercial, got left out of that district. All by itself, it's just one little tiny dot on that map. And to me, that's an error. That's the error where it started from. It should not have been excluded from that mapping. That is my thing. It's
Please, will
an error
the
and just,
citizens be quiet, please?
yeah, please respect my comments. I listened to all of yours. So in the interim, I take offense to 2 is enough. I mean, we had all these things that were very viable. I had small children that went to the doctor's offices and we used the banks. Now I travel to Central Lake or Elk Rapids for a bank. There's lots of things that could be used that are not used. All those, that strip along M88 has homes. All those homes could be sold and businesses could be put right in their village business. Who's to say none of them can be torn down? The one house that's sitting near that area, to me, is empty and kind of I want to say an eyesore myself. It could be cleaned up a lot better than what it is.
It's not empty,
It's not
and
empty?
it has been cleaned up.
Oh, well,
Interior.
is it?
Mhm.
Well, the building that in question here has been cleaned up, and it sure looks a lot better. So I don't know how that one lot, one parcel got missed off the map. I don't even know how that didn't get on there. But I do know we're missing a lot of businesses that we had, that we don't have anymore, that I wish we had back. So those are my comments. And I did read every single bit of this, and I did attend most of all the public hearings on it also.
All right, thank you, Sharon. Jason, you were on the PC at that time. You were part of the conversations and what took place. And I'd like your perspective on it.
We sat down, we had the criteria, we went back and forth. I felt like we talked about everything really well, talked it out. And we all voted and we passed on almost everything. So, Sharon did forget there was one other business that was there, and that was a resale shop.
Mhm.
But no, I really don't have much to say.
All right.
I think, Sharon, I don't think they said 2 is enough. I think they said there was only 2
No,
businesses.
I wrote it down, Alan.
2 is enough? Is that what you said?
Excuse me, if I may,
I,
what I stated was there are 2 operating businesses with 35 parcel zone village business. I didn't say anything about more businesses.
well,
said
I
there are
wrote
2
down,
operating
down,
businesses. The church,
felt that this was
All right,
enough.
Phil.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, again, I don't think that
That's
the attempt
fine.
was to discourage businesses there. I mean, they are zone village business, and that's what we meant them to be. If people tear down the house to do something in there, that's what that's all about. That's not an issue.
All right. I'll read my comments. I went through all the documents, and mine are fairly straightforward. I was at the meeting, and I felt the PC Commission did a great job working through all the material that was presented. In the format that Sarah suggested was well-received and diligently worked. All of the board members or commissioners actively participated in each of those items. I've reviewed the minutes and Sarah's suggested guidelines, and the votes were for critical items 1, 2, 5, and 6. The others were just additional items that could be evaluated. All of those items, 1, 2, 5, and 6, were passed with 96% of the available votes. 2 were passed 5-1, 2 were passed 6-0. The board overwhelmingly approved that rezoning at 5-1. I find nothing in the process that was followed, nor in how the commission handled the issue that would warrant anything but an approval of the rezoning decision. In addition, the Antrim County Planning Commission approved the decision. No one presented anything as an alternate to the procedures that were followed, except to state that the appropriate ones weren't followed. I didn't hear anything. Given these facts and the comments of the other board members, is there any new information that needs to be considered, as there is no need to go over already discussed positions? If not, then Kathy, I would like you to run a roll call vote. All right, you got a question?
I don't have new information, which I think you just stated, but I do have another question.
Okay.
So,
All right, ask your question.
you scared it right out of my brain.
Share.
Um,
Take a minute.
I am, shoot.
You need to write them down.
You can write them down. I write all the time.
Okay, it's not gonna,
All right, then would you please conduct a roll call vote?
I will if, give me a moment to find the sheet. We have 2 long papers.
Here you go.
Oh, my goodness, come on. All right, the motion has been made by Mr. Cook, seconded by Mr. Merchant, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
And the roll call vote, Mr. Cook,
Yes.
Mr. Martell,
No.
Mr. Merchant,
Yes.
Ms. Schultz.
Yes.
I'm going to qualify my vote of no in support of the constituents that I have heard from, but also hoping that perhaps in the future, we can do something about the criteria that have been mentioned and getting that as part of the planning commission process. So having said that, the vote is 3-0.
3-2.
I'm sorry, yeah, 3-2. Therefore passed.
Veronica, the comments by Kathy after her vote are not to be entered into the minutes. They are not part of the official record.
That's correct.
All right. Moving on to item number 2. I will make the motion to remove the word interim from the zoning administrator and assistant administrator roles. Do I have a second?
I make it second.
Thank you. Motion has been moved and seconded. Motion to remove the word interim from the zoning administrator and assistant administrator roles. Comments on the motion? Alan, I can start with you.
Why?
That's fine. That answers that. Jason, any comment?
I might have comments.
Well, you didn't
I have
answer
comments, Bob. I'm
well,
sorry. I'm not lining up, okay?
Then
I want to hear what the other comments are, and I might have other comments to make.
that's fine. That's
Okay.
why we have continued discussion. Do you want to make an initial comment or not?
Not at this point.
Good. Jason, any thoughts?
No comment.
All right. Kathy,
Good move. No comment.
thank you. Sharon?
No, I think they're doing an excellent job in the office.
Indeed.
All right, Alan?
Well, my only comment would be, again, I still believe that we need a full-time zoning administrator who is a zoning administrator completely for our township 100%, not 2, 3, 4 people, but one person who understands what's going on here and can take a look at our history, where we've been and what we're doing, and keep that in as part of their regular job performance. All due respect to the zoning administrators we have here, again, there are things that seem to be crumbling in certain places. Clearly, this last issue on M88 was one of them. So I cannot support this idea at this point. Again, I think you have two good people, but not working this way.
I'd like to follow up on that. Can I have a
Yeah.
comment? Those words of having one or two or whatever, we used to always have one. One was, we had one, and it was in the same position of learning. You were there to help teach, but also it was in a learning position. So remember that we didn't always have the pro at all times here. So that's all I wanted to say.
Well, most of it's common sense, Sharon. and-
Oh,
and
yes,
you-
it is. And it's,
I mean, it's a lot of it's just straight common sense, following the words of the ordinance
You
and
don't think there's
following up
common-
with that.
you don't think there's common sense going on now?
Oh, absolutely. I don't want to, don't imply that. What I'm saying is, you're talking about having professional training. I think we're at a point where we do need that because of all the complexities that there are.
But you have to
But
remember
before, excuse me, before, common sense prevailed. When I took over that job, when Josh quit, I mean, I just did common sense when I went into it and kept as careful a record as I could. And my job was fine. I did a good job. When I needed help, was not afraid to ask at all. And I did. So I guess I don't quite understand what, you read so many things into the words that we have that are negative. I'm not trying to be negative. What I'm saying is, I believe my experience here, and I've been here nearly as long as you, nearly as long.
Okay, are you, is he done?
Yeah.
All right, we had, in the old building, we had one person that worked and he was part-time. The next person worked part-time. Next person, they were all learning. They were learning their job, they were learning their position. They never came in with a master's degree as to what their job was as a zoning administrator. The prior one of this one was the same thing, started fresh, took classes and everything. So I just wanted to reiterate that your comment to having one or two or whatever, they started at starting point from this township, always at a starting point. They didn't always walk in with a master's degree. So that's my only comment, Alan. Thank you.
All right. I'll read my thoughts. Since the approval of April 20th, 2021, Sarah and Jackie have performed as an excellent team, and I feel the zoning administrator office is running quite smoothly. Sarah brought 15-plus years of zoning administrator experience in a professional approach to the job. They have climbed the learning curve of learning our township ordinances and executing a wide variety of actions. As reported in the zoning administrator's report, they are on pace to exceed last year's work by this office. I've heard no negative comments from either chairman of the Planning Commission or the Zoning Board of Appeals in the recent months with regards to Sarah's performance. Jackie has provided valuable support in performing the legwork that allows Sarah to focus on the critical issues while leveraging her experience. In addition, she has been taking coursework from the MTA and MSU extension courses related to planning and zoning. Additionally, they work very well with all the members of the township office, and I've heard no complaints from the citizenry regarding their professionalism or level of service to the community. Though the one negative vote registered during the April meeting was a concern around needing a full-time zoning administrator, we could never find someone with the experience or professional approach at a rate that would be equal to the prior full-time salary. Therefore, this is why my motion recommends removing the interim title to each of their positions and presenting them as the Township Zoning Administrator and Assistant Zoning Administrator. Any additional comments? Hearing none, Kathy, would you conduct a roll call vote, please?
I will, indeed. Mr. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Schultz,
Yes.
Ms. Wendy 8, yes. Mr. Martell,
No?
Mr. Merchant,
Yes.
thank you. That motion is approved 4-1.
Thank you, board. All right, item number 3. I will make the motion to adopt the heating and cooling contracts for the Community Services Building and South Station with MD Heat as follows. Community Services Building is $58,000. The glycol solution replacement is $8,500, which is, in parentheses, heating for the pavement at CSB and ambulance areas. And the South Station heating of $75,75. Total cost is $74,075 with an annual service contract of $788. Do I have a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion has been moved and seconded. Motion to adopt heating and cooling contracts for the Community Services Building and South Station with MD Heat as follows. The Community Services Building for $58,000. Glycol solution replacement, $8,500. The South Station heating of $75,75 for a total of $74,075. Annual service contract of $788. Bill Peterson has been working very tirelessly on getting this done. As many of you know, there's a real problem with the supply chain with certain materials, and furnaces are one of them. So Bill, if you would, you had three quotes. Everyone has received those 3. You've had time to review them. I'll let Bill walk through the decision process he made in choosing MD Heat.
As many of you know, since the dawn of time, Temperature Control has been our heating contractor here at the building. First call that was made was to them, and if it weren't for Sharon intervening at the 11th hour and actually getting someone to respond, we wouldn't have even had a quote. That was 3 phone calls on my part asking for quotes, services, upgrades, etc., needing documentation, needing it spelled out, and it literally took Sharon a couple hours of climbing up the ladder to even get what we got from them. I followed that up with a phone call from them, as it wasn't a very detailed estimate as to what it pertained. And the nuts and bolts of it was 3 boilers. What it comes down to is they do not offer the warranty on their products like MD does. So yes, they are a couple dollars less. However, MD has an 8-year warranty on the most expensive parts in that unit versus a 1 to 2-year from Temperature Control. K&K, very nice people, came out, did a tour of both facilities. The one big red flag to me in the estimate was the noting that the township would be responsible to get a third party out here once they install the equipment if it didn't communicate with the building. And that would be at our expense. Well, I'm looking for somebody to replace what we have and make it work and work as it should. I don't feel like the board needs to then all of a sudden decide that, oh, it doesn't work. We just put it all in for all this money and now we got to find somebody else to hook the controls up. The existing boiler system that we have here now also does our domestic hot water. And as you know, we have people that live here 24/7. The 3 boilers that do run that currently, if they were to break today, there are no more parts. It's not a supply chain issue as much as it is they're that outdated. There are no parts for those. That comes from every person I talk to, including Temperature Control, saying, look, if they die tonight and your people are without hot water, there are no parts. So unfortunately, we are backed into a corner with having to get these upgraded, and especially with winter coming on. One hiccup and this building is without heat. Supply chain wise, K&K is looking at, if we award them the contract, it will be mid-October before they're here on site. Temperature Control is October 1st. And MD called me yesterday afternoon at 3 and said there are 3 boilers that they quoted. They could be here in 2 weeks. As long as nobody grabbed them at the end of last night and this morning, that they would be here on site to do the job if the board approves it in 2 weeks. The other thing that they wanted me to make sure and let the board know was, since it would be a changeover of existing contractors, they would like to come in and meet the office staff, hopefully on Thursday, Sharon and whoever else is here.
Just me.
So that it would help put at ease the fact that, this is our number as far as the owners go. This is a 24-hour-a-day number. The service contract at 788, Bob slightly misspoke in the fact that's a sample. So what I did is once Sharon and I found finally the service contract that the board never approved from Temperature Control from last year, I called MD Heat this afternoon and ran through how many units there would be so that I could get a firm number on those units. That comes out to 2,300.
Yeah, I didn't,
Not 788. The 788 was an example of their service
right,
contract.
that's what I was going to ask you.
If the board agrees to sign the service contract, which a permanent one, if they're approved, will be in the office by the end of business Friday. From that point on, you will never pay a service call with them. You will never pay after hours call. Labor is discounted 15%, as is any parts. They will come here once every spring, service everything to do with cooling and the hot water system. They will come here every fall and service everything as it pertains to the heat. Not just a visual inspection, they actually take apart the heat exchangers and whatnot in the boilers, pull them out, clean them out, vacuum them out. High efficiency systems, whether it's your house furnace or whatnot, create a lot of water in a high efficiency system. If you let that sit in there too long, it does start to rust out the bottom of things. It's the same thing at your house, your pole barn, whatever. If it's high efficiency and it's not getting cleaned out, you're shortening its lifespan. So from my standpoint, in meeting with all of them, in laying out all the facts with Bob, being that they're 9 miles down the road instead of Traverse City, and they're big on preventative maintenance, and the 8-year warranty, I think, is a reason to not take the low bid, but to make the changeover.
Great.
I have some
Thank you.
questions for
Yep.
Bill.
Hi, Sharon.
My first question, but you answered it. Didn't see a service contract for 788 that looked kind of low.
What they wanted me to let you guys know is their idea of a service contract is they actually include the make, model, serial number of every ounce of equipment that's here. If the board approves to go with them, like I said, they're scheduled to come out at that point probably Thursday. Document all of that, what is your existing everything. Type it
Okay.
all up, not just list out units, but actual make, model, serial.
Now, when I look at temp control, on the
Yes.
back, it says, you said something about 1 year. To me, it looks like 5 years.
It's a 5-year, it's a 1 year covers everything. 5-year prorated on down on the heat exchanger itself, based on usage.
Oh, that's standard with everybody type of thing, or what?
No, the MD one is 8-year unconditional.
Well, it says coverage 100%, 1 through 5, 100%.
I'm going by what,
This is what this has on
I
this.
know, I'm going
Okay.
by the phone conversation after that was sent in by
Mike Laws.
Mike Laws, yes, that I had the other day. And I asked him for the long and the short of it, what is our obligation after the first year?
Okay.
And like I said, I apologize that that came in literally after the deadline that we asked for him to be in.
They're used to hearing my voice. I don't have any questions for you, but I do have comments
Okay.
for the board
Anybody
then.
else have anything?
I do.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alan. What commercial businesses do they do? Is it just home or is it commercial?
No, they do, they basically, to be honest with you, cover the entire state. They do small stadiums. They're doing the culvers in, the new culvers in Charlevoix. They're doing the BK and they just did the Wendy's.
Culver's is going in Charlevoix?
Yes,
Oh.
they just did the BK and Wendy's in front of the old mall in Traverse City. They take care of a couple school districts.
So you said covered the state, but they're located out of Elk Rapids?
They're located, they have an office in Elk Rapids, they have an office in Calcasas. They have 30-some employees, they run 24-hour day service.
Okay, that was my one question then.
They
Alan?
try not to get too many 24-hour day service calls.
Yeah.
Alan?
Bill, on the $2,800, is that forever or is that during the warranty time?
Nope, that is forever. It's something that the board can renew from time to time. But when they come into a situation like this, to where they are going to literally cover every piece of equipment, then it makes they prorate it on down. The more stuff you have them do, instead of paying $250 per unit, they start knocking money off for every unit that they do because they're already here.
So that $2,800 then is a deposit and we didn't?
No, the $2,800, the $2,300
23.
is for a year. Half of that will be billed in the spring, half of that will be billed in the fall, because in the spring they come to do the
Air
summertime air conditioners, et cetera.
Winter, the
And then
heating.
this time of the year, they go around to do the heating prep for the fall.
But then that's forever. They do that every year
Yes.
for the $2,300.
Yes.
Now that's one payment of $2,300 or
No,
$2,300
that's
a year?
a year.
A
That's
year,
annual.
okay, that's what I need to know. Does that also cover all the motors and the vents? and
That's
all that?
everything on the rooftop units. That's all of the air handlers. That's your
Okay,
AC
good.
condensers. That's thermostat. They check all of that,
It sounds like a good deal, yes, thank you.
including the outdoor ice melt and ambulance bay. And part of the glycol is that it may not be $8,500. It may be less. They tried to do a building calculation. Glycol only lasts at 100% rate for 12 years. This building's been here longer than 12 years.
Not quite, 11.
Well, but at this point, why put in another 10-year heating system and not update the glycol? The board could decide to wait until next year to spend the $8,500, but then you're gonna pump everything back down, make a mess and change it
What
over.
what
Makes
about the
sense.
sidewalks?
Yep, thank you.
That is included. It's gonna be, the system is going to operate the exact same way it does now. It'll just be a
Okay.
new, modernized, more efficient heating system. They are telling me that they will be here on site 3 12-hour days in a row to be done. So to be as least disruptive to our first responders as possible. The only thing that they've asked, and they did talk to Alan Davidson about it, sounds like it's not a big deal, is to move the secondary ambulance either out of the building or over for the time that they're working. And their hope is to have the hot water back on in a little over 24 hours to try to minimize how long the building does not have hot water to make this changeover happen.
Great. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have any personal experience with this
I
company?
have had them do jobs for me. Unfortunately, I'm in a position where I know everybody up here. I've been here my whole life. They've done many jobs for me. My customers always call them back.
Okay,
I've never had a bad thing.
okay. And then all the new equipment coming in is replacing old equipment. They'll remove all of that far away from us. so
Yes,
we
and
won't see
unfortunately,
it.
when the building was designed, there's permanent cemented and welded railings up there. So this does include getting a lift in, taking it up over the top of the rafters, lowering it back. It's not an easy thing to get these up and
That
down.
was for safety.
And there's no way to remove it. So
That was for safety.
that is all part of this as well.
That's in the mezzanine on top area there.
Yes.
And then we got that grant to put those stairs up by Power Plan to put those steps up for workers that need to go up and down. It's a safety issue. That was
Good.
added.
Anything else? If not, then I will amend my motion to
Oh,
change.
I have more questions for the board.
Oh,
I didn't have any more questions for him.
I'll stand by this.
yeah. I'm not a heating specialist, so it shouldn't be
Well,
too
I'm not
tough.
either. I'm not either, but man, I looked at these with a fine tooth comb because I don't know MD heat. I do know K and K.
Does this building have 3 furnaces?
This building has 3 boilers, 2 furnaces, 1 AC condenser, 5 air handlers, system and an in-the-bay system.
And the
What if
three-
one goes down? Will this building still be able to be heated?
Yes, well, they're all in zones.
Okay.
They're in zones, however, right now, all three boilers come on at once, all three boilers go off at once. It's a service call at the very least to try to jury-rig heat back on if one boiler dies tonight. Because they're meant to all three run in series.
Because I'm in this building so much, the home of the home, I know when the heating's not working, I know when the cooling's not working. I'm on the phone making phone calls to either our maintenance or to our providers of the contract. And I was shocked when I heard that temp control didn't get a hold of Bill back. And I said, that's really unusual because they service us quickly and efficiently that I've known of. And Alan, I think Alan can attest to that. Although I did ask them, I didn't want to look at the clerk's files and try to find a current contract, a maintenance contract. So I asked them if they could provide one for us because they have a large folder of us with everything they've done. And they called me personally, and then they emailed me also, said, I've done some digging, and they did send the new contract out to Alan Martell, and his name's on it with his email address, but he never got back to them ever on this contract. And he had it dated on 8/11/20, a proposal to furnish our preventative maintenance agreement. So currently, we don't have a preventative maintenance agreement. That's in effect because this one never got passed or brought to the board. And as a contract, they also do the spring and the fall maintenance type of scenario. And that contract said, because it wasn't, Mike did say to me that because it wasn't signed last year, that he would still honor it, the cost, he wouldn't go up in the rate. And that it includes the services like Bill was saying, the other one, lubricating all the bearings, replacing the filters, checks the draws, the amps, checks the belts. I know we have spare belts we keep up there that we change often if we need it, and quickly. The guys can handle that really good. Dismantle, clean, lubricate, check, tighten, brush, whatever. I'm torn between the two of them because I don't know this one and it sounds really good and I trust Bill on that one. I know the temp control, I know that they're good too. So I guess I will go with whatever the board.
All right, Kathy? You have anything
No,
else?
I was just going to say thanks to Bill because he keeps being asked to do all the legwork for all these chores for the township. And I believe you're doing a thorough job. And if this is the one that you are recommending, then I respect your recommendation.
And
Yeah,
my recommendation does not come off of any
Right.
ill feelings towards temp control
Right.
whatsoever.
Right.
I just really broke it down to the nuts and the bolts and what we're getting for.
it was the annual contract that blew me away when it said 788, when I thought, oh,
Because it initially came in as an example of what theirs looks like.
okay. And I don't have a copy of their service contract. Is it pretty much the
Their
same?
The service contract, yes.
It's pretty much the same as what all this is?
You can look at my copy, it's verbatim of what it is for a sample.
Okay,
This will be tailored to, if the board accepts it, will be tailored to our township with all the equipment on it by the end of the week.
okay. And here it says no mileage or truck charges will be billed and repairs and parts and 10% contract is all in this one also.
And MD is 15% off parts and labor.
Okay, I color coded my paper so I could keep them straight here. That's the
I
reason.
wish
it's
I would
yellow.
have thought of that when I was.
Well, that's like I do my tax bills, winter and summer. So we are due for a fall maintenance prevention or maintenance come this fall. And that would be part of this
Right, but
proposal
it
here
would be, it
too.
would be less for this fall's billing because the three of the units will be brand new and part of startup. So your first fall payment will be less than half of that 23 because the bulk of the equipment is new. I think they would have to service the one existing furnace for.
And the brand new units we just put up for the air conditioning units are
will be-
brand new too.
Right, but those would be on the spring,
Spring.
yes.
Okay, yeah, because those are brand new too.
All right. No
All
other
right.
comment, then I'll move, I would like to amend my motion for the annual service contract, delete the 788 and make that 2,300.
Do we even need that in there or just,
Well, I'm putting it, it's,
23 wasn't the number, right? 2,300?
Yep.
Okay.
I'd like the thoroughness of it. All right, it's moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion, Kathy, would you do a roll call vote because of the size of this, please?
I will. I'm just doing the math up above. So that 74,000 obviously does not include the service contract.
Correct.
Okay. So motion by Cook, second by Merchant. Mr. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Windy 8 will say yes. Mr. Merchant,
Yes.
Ms. Schultz,
I am torn, but I hope these people get to know me good as well as these. So I'm going to say yes.
and Mr. Martell.
Yes, good job, Bill.
Right.
Thank you, Bill.
Motion is approved 5-0.
We'll survive, Sharon.
Sharon, I guarantee you they will know you.
I watch
That-
every dollar in and out of
that-
here, so.
That is totally an unnecessary concern. All right, we'll move to the next item, item number 4.
What did I miss?
I don't know.
So who is going
Go
to contact these people and,
Bill's in charge. That's why.
well, I would like to see a formal letter made out to them.
They will be here, Sharon, to meet you personally. I'm trying to finalize the day and time.
So we probably would need a formal letter of some scenario, and do we need to contact temp control at all, do you think, board, or? Okay. You can do it, I won't have to then.
Sharon, that's why we have a deputy supervisor. Thanks, Bill. All right, item number 4, Kath, you with
Got
it?
it, got it.
All right, we have one minor wording change. I will read the revised motion. Motion to increase the hourly rate for Virginia Hawkins for scanning from $14 to $15 effective immediately. She's been working tirelessly back there. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Motion to increase the hourly rate for Virginia Hawkins for scanning from $14 to $15 effective immediately. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Don't
All right.
roll call then.
We're not, don't need that. Move to item 5. I will make the motion to abandon graves 1-4 in lot 654, in grave 1 in lot 655, allowing expansion for construction of necessary connecting access road by the Veterans Memorial. Access
drive.
road,
Access drive.
access drive, all right, I will change that. That is a change from highway. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Sharon, I'll let you lead this. You have put a lot of time and effort into this one.
Well, Bill and I and Gary Mortensen, and I put a copy, a small copy. You can see the number, the grave number in the corner. This is the new section of the cemetery. And the ones that we're referring to is this one down in the corner and one grave to next to it. The graves when you're looking at the graves, they go 1, 2, 3, 4 across, like if you were counting a number. Some of them are, but here is Access Drive. And what has happened when Bill and I and Gary and all of us were out there, I said, well, first of all, the memorial for the Veterans Memorial went up. It was originally staked in a certain area that it did not cringe on anything, because what needs to happen is this access drive needs to go up. Here's an access drive. Here's the access drive that comes all the way back down. And that's the only way for cemetery, funeral processions can go in. This side of the cemetery is just a walking path. There's no drive there. So right now, as it stands, with Veterans Memorials flag and everything there, it could never, this access road cannot be developed. So in order, you have to go up and around. So what had happened with the stakes were out from Memorial and they all got changed.
Who changed those?
Well, the word was Alan changed a lot of the stakes, is what came back to me.
I never touched anything there.
Well, that's
Who said that?
the memorial people, and
What memorial people? I changed the stakes?
the stakes were all moved.
I never moved stakes. They were all
Well-
surveyed in.
They were all surveyed in and they all got moved.
I didn't move anything. Sorry.
Well-
I want to talk to them about that. That's a slander. I didn't touch that stuff.
That's the word that got out to me. So what had happened,
Well, I really resent that.
well,
Well, you can have a
I
discussion
wouldn't do
with
anything
them.
like, why would I do something like that? Help me with that.
Well, we didn't
That's
make-
very bad.
well, what we're doing.
I'm really
right-
bothered by that.
Ellen, you can discuss it with them then.
Well,
You
it's a
know who it
it's a
is.
bold-faced lie.
Well, we
The
don't,
place was surveyed for sure, but
Alan,
I never
that's-
moved anything.
Ellen, that's fine. We got it.
Well,
All
I
right, go
resent you
ahead,
even
Shep.
saying it that way, that you would think I would do that without calling me up and asking me. You know? You've now made it a public comment. I don't like that.
Well, Ellen, you can discuss it with those people.
Gary, when we met with Gary Mortensen,
Well, I think I should have been called when that was brought up.
the
I think
the
that would have
memorial
been
is
polite and
there.
would have been okay.
I know you made many site visits out there during that
I
time.
met with a
So,
surveyor.
so in order to not move the flag that's already there and to make minimal changes to that veterans area without having to create a whole backup everything, these are what Gary said would help getting that drive in, would be to vacate, the word vacate, or did they use the word abandoned?
You, it was used
This says
abandoned.
abandoned,
Well,
but
Kathy
vacate.
gave me the motion, so it was abandoned.
Abandon,
Those-
okay,
those
abandon
four-
these 5
You
graves.
sent
And
me the email.
then Bill will be able to get the gravel in and make sure we have that road that goes all the way around there. So that is the map, and that's what was presented to me. So anyway, the motion's on, and that is kind of the background of why we need to vacate or abandon these lots.
So this ensures we don't impact the memorials out there.
No, there is, in grave 655,
Yep,
there is one grave in there.
okay.
So what they're going to
One
do.
burial.
One burial there. So what they're planning to do, Gary said he could take a stake and put that stake in there so that nobody runs over that section and have it kind of, so nobody can drive over that, because there's not a stone or anything out there currently.
All right, good. Any other discussion? If not, then Kathy, let's have a roll call vote on this one.
All righty. Motion by Cook, seconded by Ms. Schultz. Mr. Cook, how do you vote?
Yes,
Mr. Martell? How do you vote, Alan?
I understand the
Okay.
question. You know, I'm at a loss here in terms of, I would vote for this indeed if you need that driveway. I don't like the implication of what was just said here. I want to really pursue that in a very serious way. But I will vote yes, we need to do this.
Thank you. Mr. Merchant? Yes. Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Myself will also vote yes. That motion passes 5-0.
I will give you contact names and information, Alan.
Thank you.
all right. Last item, board. I would like to make a motion to approve a special payment of approximately $300 to ambulance workers for August 7/8, 2021, under the emergency authority of policy 4.7A per the attached emergency report. Is there a second?
Yes.
Thank you. I will read the report if I can find it. Special payment to ambulance workers for August 1, 2021, under emergency authority of policy 4.7A. I'm sorry, August 7-8. The emergency report reads as follows. The Torch Lake Township Ambulance Director, Michael Bertram, pursued numerous options to fill the staffing requirements for Saturday/Sunday, August 7th and 8th, 2021. That effort was unsuccessful, as for that specific day, people were not willing to sign up to fill the open slots. This is the first time in anyone's memory where a shift could not be appropriately staffed. To avoid the ambulance service having to stand down for that day, it was determined that additional compensation would be provided by paying overtime. Total cost for the two individuals is approximately $300, as we will be adjusting the hours. I was on vacation, and prior to my leaving, this was an issue. It had been an issue for 2.5, 3 weeks. They do their schedules well in advance, and these two dates just could not get filled. So I told both Mike and Sharon that in my absence, because I would be out of touch, that they could do whatever was necessary to ensure our ambulances kept rolling. So therefore, I have brought this before the board. 4.7A states the following. In case of an emergency, the clerk or the township supervisor may independently authorize a purchase order and/or agreement not to exceed $1,000. A complete report to the township board explaining the emergency shall be prepared by the authorizing person and placed in the minutes of the board. I'm not sure that I need approval of the board for this, given 4.7A, but I am requesting the board to vote on it so that they understand that it was a serious matter and that I have filed the necessary reports to fulfill the obligation of 4.7A. Are any questions?
Was there some significance to that date as to why they couldn't get anybody?
I can fill that in.
Yeah, Sharon can.
That Saturday, Sunday is, we have a new employee. And upon his employment of being hired a month prior, he indicated that he had his daughter's wedding on that day and he could not fulfill that weekend that had been planned for a long time. And the schedules are done months in advance. And upon his brand new employment of a month prior, indicated that he could not do those. So that's July. Everybody's got plans. We've got one employee that had their daughter home from surgery. We had numerous reasons why. And so overtime was offered to fill those vacancies.
Okay.
If no other questions, can everyone in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, I'm not opposed, but
Oh, okay.
I missed.
Said aye?
I
Okay.
was talking to. looking
Very
for
good.
aye.
That concludes our agenda for board action. Move on to the next one, agenda for board discussion. There were no items submitted. The agenda items for informational purposes only. An update on Constant Contact. We now have an account. Our deputy clerk, Virginia Hawkins, is handling that. And we will be putting together communications to the community for people to sign up. And we will have Sharon as the traffic cop associated with the material that can go on there to ensure that we meet the requirements that will be part of our future policies. On Central Lake Enforcement Officer.
Can I stop you just for 1 second and put it in the minutes? We did a lot of tests today, Linda and I and Jenny, and I'm signed up now, and I just wanted to put it in the minutes so that we can, if you go into your phone and text, just put in the text line, if you put 22828, and then you'll get something that'll pop up and say, hello, please reply to your email to join the Torch Lake Township mailing list. And then down in the text again, you type in the capital letters TLT. And then it'll come up and it'll say, thank you, you are now subscribed to the Torch Lake Township mailing list. So that's really simple.
Great. All right, an update on Central Lake Enforcement Officer. Their enforcement committee met last week. They are kicking around a number. It's not final, so there's no need to bring it up. I think the critical thing seems to be that they have a millage coming up for enforcement in November, and so they're not really going to make any decisions until they know if the millage is approved or not. Last item is the Central Lake Transfer Station. As you know, that will close September 18th. Bill, don't fall out of your chair, but Bill's been bending my ear that we as a township need to try to do some things on the bulk side. We're not going to do anything on the garbage. They're getting out of the business because it's a losing money proposition, and we're not going to get in the business to lose money. But we will try to do some bulk general pickup. We'll decide if it's twice a year, once a quarter, and try to work with the environmental people to also do an environmental cleanup at the same time. Right now, the only site that the township would really be able to use would be the parking lot of the day park. So we're going to have to work around that to ensure we don't interfere with the day park operations for the boat launch.
Do what there?
Well, what at the Central Lake, you have three things: garbage, recycling, and bulk. Stuff that you got to
Right.
get rid of, but the garbage guys aren't going to pick it up because it doesn't fit in their trucks and whatever. So that bulk is in these big carriers, and they're going to go away. Central Lake is not going to continue to do that because it's not covered under the Antrim County recycling.
Right.
So the only thing they will do is house the recycling, and the location for that, to my knowledge, has not been decided yet. It may end up out by the Central Lake Village.
It's already the township hall is what I was told.
Yeah, or the Township Hall.
The township
So,
hall and the end over there is a recycling,
Yeah.
the recycling bins.
Yeah, the bin. So as of right now, we need to see what we can do for the township on the bulk side.
Does anybody have a bulk thing in any township?
I think Elk Rapids, Bill.
Yeah, Forest Homes does. Just for the sake of the board, Central Lake is having a meeting tomorrow night on this very issue.
Are they? Another one?
Rumored to be very well attended. But they do have a tentative plan for bulk. They're looking at the current facility that they have.
Yep.
Opening it up, it ranges all over the place, but at least once a quarter, if not more frequently, depending on the demand.
Okay.
For at home, if you drive back down there twice a year, everybody just tosses it on the side of the road.
Well, they have trash.
Somebody comes along and picks it up.
Oh, yeah, it's their trash cleanup day.
The difference is, and I don't have any numbers, the difference is if you take a mattress today to Central Lake, they're gonna charge you $50, even if you're a resident.
Yep.
I don't know what Forest Home does on there, if it's a millage
It's,
or however they handle it, but it's gotta be expensive,
they have a cleanup day
twice a year.
twice a year. And then you just put your stuff at your end of your residence. It's a lot of people have cleanup days.
Trust me, guys,
Banks Township, they all do.
it's a
Yeah.
lot.
Well,
And that
You
comes
know-
out of their general fund.
So that's why Bill and I are going to look at what our alternatives are. It's probably the one thing that I get the most phone calls on,
And
is that, so.
I think towards our budget time, it's something to consider. It's been brought up to our board to have a cleanup pickup day too. So that's another issue.
Well, again, if you think about it, we have to think, what does Township own that they could do something like that on? And we really don't have anything except the day park. And part of that, half of that parking lot is owned by the county. So I would have to go back to Antrim Road Commission and check with them to see.
Put it out in the driveway.
Yeah, but you got to have somebody pick it up.
It's an annual
Who you
cleanup. You
gonna
have,
pick it
you
up?
have people coming, you have bulk, yeah, you have waste management or whoever picks it up.
All right. Well, anyway, that's
And-
a story to be continued.
And yeah, he is right. When those dates are announced, we have all those peddlers with
Yep.
their trailers go around, pick up stuff out there.
All right, so we'll move forward. Citizen comment, please respect the 4 minutes. Do we have any submissions of comments? We'll respect our interim commissioner.
District
Yeah,
1.
sorry, I'm a little late. I had a budget meeting tonight, but I don't know if you guys have seen the pictures from the rain. Bridge that went out.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Those are all in the paper.
Yeah, imagine you,
So you're telling us the road commission is going to be very busy?
oh, man, it was quite a meeting today.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, we've seen all
Antrim
these.
County, I don't know if you've seen the census data for 2020. We lost population from 2010.
We gained 8 people.
What's that?
Torch Lake Township gained 8 people.
That's not much change. So I don't know how it's all going to shake out, but it's generally not positive to lose population because a lot of funding in a lot of different ways is based on population. So Grand Traverse County, they went up by 10%. Charlevoix County went up. Otsego County went up. Nothing much we can do about it. It's just something we got to kind of deal with now. And the other thing, our Antrim County Sheriff's Department is down 11 people.
You kidding?
It's not good. Charlevoix County Sheriff has 0 openings. And I've known Mr. Bean a long time and I like him, but I think he's got to shake the pot up a little bit and do something. That's just my own personal opinion.
How many sheriffs?
It's not wages. We're paying the same, very similar to counties around us.
I think it's wages, personally.
Well, how many sheriffs does he have now that are running?
Deputies, you mean, or?
Yeah.
I believe there's 15 deputy slots, and I think we have 10 or 11.
And you said we were
Empty.
down how many?
We're down a total of 11 people in the sheriff's department, so
I mean,
that
that's all
counts,
kinds of departments.
that counts your corrections.
Yeah.
That counts your dispatch.
Oh, okay.
That counts your deputies. That counts your jail administrators. That counts, the sheriff department, it's 44 employees total.
I
So,
think
Okay.
deputies are down by 5.
yeah.
All right, that's what I was trying to figure out is
They had a lot
is
of,
it feet on the road or is it other administrative
Well,
type?
that's-
they had a
slots?
lot of retirements too.
That's the most significant one is the deputies.
I understand.
And it's a little unsettling because that's who responds if somebody calls 911 if there's a problem.
Right.
So
All right, very good, thank you.
Can I elaborate on yours, Jared? Antrim County lost 149. I dashed out real quick. Is that what you said? Torch Lake Township gained 18. I heard Kathy say that. So a total of the 2020 census I got on, got an MTA alert on mine. I wrote them all in my book already. So Milton Township was the biggest one. They had a gain of 151. And then Elk Rapids had a loss of 110 in the census. Now, I contribute a lot of this during the COVID. A lot of people did not respond. They didn't have a lot of activity. I feel bad. I try to preach the census over and over and over in every meeting, and I was constantly on the phone with a lot of different organizations, so at least we didn't go down. But that's a lot of revenue there. That's
All right.
soapbox out there.
So citizen comment again. Nobody? That's fine. Board comment. Alan, we'll start with you tonight.
None?
Jason? Sharon?
Well, that was what I was going to do on my board comment, was the census, so.
All right, so none. Kathy?
None.
None. All right, folks, I have one. Got a couple. One is kind of an update on the scanning project, which was requested at our last meeting. And there have been an estimated 12,500 documents done just in the zoning administrator's office. Right now in the clerk's office, they are going through a process of record maintenance, looking through and trying to get rid of the old outdated within the record standards that we have to adhere to. And the folks are working every Monday and Tuesday for sure, and I think Jenny does on Thursday. So the project is underway, and again, when we did this, we knew it was going to take close to a year. I know Alan was looking at doing this quite a while ago, and it's a long process. I have a statement to read tonight, and I take it very seriously. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of people. I will post it out on the website. Board, unfortunately, I have to report that the rumor mill is once again active. I had 3 separate people come to me recently and asked if it was true that the township had hired a consultant to help Mr. Bays obtain his rezoning request. I don't know who dreams this stuff up. The new rumor is being spread by phone calls and emails to communicate a concern. If it is a concern, it needs to come to the attention of the supervisor and the board to take any action that's necessary. It does not call for some email or phone call campaign sowing doubt in our residents' mind. Expressing a concern without verifying the truth of such a statement leads me to believe it isn't just a concern. Now, the Township Board, in a vote of 5-0, approved the consultant's contract and work scope. Neither the chairman or the vice chairman or anyone on the Planning Commission has brought to my attention at any time a concern regarding our consultant. In fact, this rumor is a direct assault on the credibility and integrity of our consultant and is an embarrassment to the township. Whoever is doing this is very short-sighted, and they have little concern of the damage they could be doing to the reputation of the consultant, of our township, and its public officials. Fortunately, these people who came forward to me are concerned with what is being passed around our township. I am asking anyone else who has received a call or an email related to this subject or any other rumor communication regarding the operation of the township to please call me. The characteristics tend to be a statement that they have a concern and then express the reason for that concern as a failure of the township government in some way. I have mentioned many times that people should check with me to verify these rumors. And unfortunately, I am starting to hear from the citizens. Unfortunately, there may be other items that I am not hearing. Folks, I just don't get it. Why is a person who has a concern deciding to communicate to a select group of people and not want to bring issues out into the public and present them to the board to investigate? What is it that they hope to accomplish by not including the whole community in their concerns? The actions of this person indicates they are not really interested in working with the board or communicating with the whole township. I am the first person that believes in the First Amendment rights. This also includes how things are communicated and to whom. But since they only feel a certain number of people have a right to know what their concern is, What's the big secret? Whoever is doing this cannot be that concerned about the problem they are stating. Instead, they are more concerned with casting doubt on our township officials, which is unfortunate. My message to this person is simple. People are getting wise to you, and they are beginning to question me about your comments. At some point, we will find out who you are, and I will bring you to the attention of the rest of the township residents to highlight your divisive actions and less than transparent operation. I make the motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Board comment. Board comment. Board comment. No, no.